Hi, Stories Channel here.
And today we're covering a 2015 French horror thriller movie named Evolution. The movie starts with an underwater scene of sea life. A boy is seen floating on the water. He dives into the water and finds a dead body of a child with a red starfish clung to his body. The boy gets scared and swims back to the surface. He gets to the shore and starts running. His mother is making breakfast in the kitchen. She then goes to Nicholas's bedroom, only to find out he isn't there. Nicholas comes running to his house and starts talking breathlessly about the dead boy under the sea with a red starfish. His mother, being worried, tells him not to go there again. Next, we see Nicholas doodling in his diary, drawing a picture of a boy with a starfish on his belly. Some boys come outside his window and call him out. The boys are holding a dead animal on a stick and ask Nicholas to come out to bury it. Nicholas tells them about a dead boy he has seen under the water. One of the boys calls him a liar. He then moves forward and extends the stick towards Nicholas. Being scared, he takes a step back. The kids decide to bury it in front of the window. Nicholas climbs out the window and joins them. They place the creature on the ground and start throwing dirt on it. Meanwhile, Nicholas puts his hand ahead and touches that creature. Afterwards, Nicholas returns to his diary and starts drawing the starfish when his mother arrives. She gives him his medicine which Nicholas drinks. He's curious why he's sick as he feels perfectly fine. His mother makes him understand that as he is growing up and his body is changing, so that's why he needs medicine. Nicholas gets in bed while his mother closes the window and kisses on his forehead. She inquires Nicholas about the place of the dead body he saw. The next day, Nicholas and his friends are standing on a shore, while his mother is down searching for something in the sea. She comes out with a red starfish in hand. She tells Nicholas that there is no dead body down there. Nicholas then jumps into the sea. He swims to search for the body himself, while taking short breaths above the water every few seconds. His mother sees him and shouts his name. Upon hearing his name, Nicholas dives into water again and tries to grab a rock underwater. He injures his hand while trying to hold a rock. Seeing him in trouble, his mother comes and takes him out on the shore. She takes him to a nurse who stitches his wound. During the night, Nicholas stares at his wound. We then see a couple of women leaving their houses with a lantern in their hands and going to the shore. Nicholas's mother arrives from the sea with a body in her arms, covered in a blanket. Another woman takes the blanket off of his face and then covers it back. All the women stand in a circle around the body. Next morning, we see Nicholas playing with the red starfish when two of his friends come over to him. Frank calls him a coward and they start fighting. Frank's mother comes and stops them. Nicholas takes a stone in hand and crushes one of the arms of the starfish aggressively. His mother stares at him and puts the starfish in a bowl. Nicholas sits on a table and eats the food. He then takes his medicine and goes to sleep. The next day his mother takes him to a hospital. His mother smooches his forehead and leaves him for an overnight stay in the hospital. The nurse checks his blood pressure and tells him that he will get an injection. She also inquires about the drawings. Nicholas tells about the animals he has drawn in his diary. The other nurse, Stella, who stitched his hand earlier, takes a sample of his blood. They both then go to a room where Nicholas is asked to take a shower. Stella helps him get undressed. While removing his shirt, Stella notices a diary in his pants pocket. She asks Nicholas for the diary. He hands her the diary. It has all the drawings of things like a bicycle, a car and a football, etc. The next scene starts with Nicholas in an operation theater with the nurses beside him. He is strapped down to a table. One of the nurses assures him that the procedure will be done soon. Stella then takes a syringe and injects him in the belly. Meanwhile, on the shore, we see a couple of women eating sea creatures, including Nicholas's mother. Nicholas is left alone in a big room with a lot of child patients like him. The nurses of the hospital are all gathered in a room watching a video on a television. In the video, a doctor is performing a surgery on a pregnant woman. The next morning, Nicholas is sitting beside a window gazing at the sea when another boy enters the room. He explains to the other boys about what has been done to him, while pointing towards his belly. Nicholas joins the conversation and guarantees others he isn't sick and leaves the room. On his way out, a nurse passes him by and smiles at him before looking at Nicholas's belly. He then sees Stella in the hallway and proceeds to follow her. But his mother appears from behind and takes him home. While at home, Nicholas is standing in front of a table and staring blankly into the bowl which has the red starfish in it. His mother puts the medicinal drops in some water and offers him the glass. He takes his medicine and goes to bed. While lying in the bed, Nicholas decides to get up. He uses his bedroom chair to climb across the window to get into the street. He takes a lantern and starts running through the street. He hides in a corner and watches all the women leaving their houses with a lantern in the dark of the night. Nicholas goes to his friend Victor's house and knocks on his bedroom window. He quietly calls his name repeatedly until Victor finally wakes up and opens the window. Nicholas doubts that their mothers are lying to them and he wants to know what they are up to and what they do at night. He asks Victor to accompany him. Then Victor's nose starts bleeding. He cleans it up and they both go down the street to the shore. On their way, Victor gets scared that they might get lost and he heads back home. Nicholas doesn't stop and keeps on moving with the lantern in one hand. He sits on a ledge and watches below as a group of women, including his own mother, indulge in an intimate orgy. They are all naked, lying bare in the sand while moaning softly. They all touch each other and are holding an infant baby which they keep passing. After watching this, Nicholas is shocked and starts running back to his house. He climbs the window and gets in his bed. After a while, he hears the door open and he gets out of bed. He goes down the stairs and peeps through the washroom door. The water is running and his mother is taking a shower. On his mother's back there are round patches prominent on the skin. But his mother catches him. The next scene starts with Nicholas lying on a table in the hospital. Nurse Stella is using a probe to scan his abdomen. The other nurse is sitting in a chair looking at the screen. Nicholas' mother is waiting beside him for his ultrasound scan to be completed. His mother smiles as soon the nurses detect some activity on the scan. After the scan, his mother kisses him on the forehead and leaves him in an elevator with a nurse and closes the door behind. The nurse takes Nicholas to a room with lots of beds in it. She assigns a bed to Nicholas and changes his clothes. Nicholas gets in bed and the nurse adjusts the drip. He asks how long he'll be here but nobody answers him and the nurse leaves the room, after turning the lights off. Victor is also in the room. He agrees that they are all lying and they will not get any better. The next scene starts with 3 disfigured fetuses in a metallic tray. Stella picks one of them and puts it in a jar filled with translucent fluid. There lies a lifeless body of Victor on the table in the room. Victor has a C scar on his belly. Stella takes the jar and puts it on a shelf. There are a lot of other jars too with different creatures and fetuses in them. Then we see Nicholas resting in his hospital room while Stella is sitting on the next bed, looking at his diary. He asks her about Victor, which she ignores. She then hands him a pencil to draw. He draws a wheel with a brown crayon. Upon asking, Nicholas declares that this is a Ferris wheel and explains what a Ferris wheel does. Nicholas then draws a picture of a woman with curly hair, after which Stella leaves. A nurse enters the room to announce that Victor has been cured and has sent them a seashell as a gift. The nurse leaves and puts the shell on Victor's bed. All the mothers have come to meet their children and Nicholas's mom is sitting beside him. She has brought him a bowl of food and is feeding him. She finds his diary on the bed. She takes it and starts going through it. Nicholas doesn't want her mother snooping around and asks her to return it. She finds a drawing of a woman with curly hair and the Ferris wheel. Then we see a nurse and Nicholas fighting over a hospital coat. They take him to another room. One of the nurses sedates him using an injection while Stella watches all this. Nicholas dreams that he is underwater. Then he opens up his eyes with all the boys standing around his bed. One of the boys checks Nicholas' diary to find out it is empty. A second boy takes out a folded piece of paper from his pockets and unfolds it. It is the same drawing that Nicholas had made earlier of a woman. They put the picture along Nicholas's head. Then one of the boys says that his mother is not his real mother. The door opens and all boys run to their beds as the nurses arrive. All the nurses come together in a room and are again watching a video of C-section on a TV. The doctor in the video uses a scalpel to cut open the abdomen of a woman. The doctor then uses his hands to get the baby out of the womb. The baby starts crying. While Nicholas lays unconscious on the bed, Stella comes to him and stops his drip. After a bit, Nicholas comes to his senses. She hands him a piece of paper and a pencil. She asks him to draw as she also holds a piece of paper and a crayon. He draws a picture of a starfish. Stella takes out the same curly-haired woman's drawing and gives it to Nicholas. While holding that, his nose starts bleeding. Stella uses a handkerchief to clean his nose. Afterwards, they take him to a room where he has gone under ultrasonography. He flinches while Stella uses the probe to detect movement for a baby. After the scan, Stella takes him to an empty room and divulges a secret. She shares a file which has pictures of young girls who have the same round lumps as his mother on their back. He doesn't completely understand what it is. After that, she takes him to the beach and undresses herself. Nicholas puts his hand on her back and feels the round bulges. Stella jumps into the water, yanking him along herself. She does not let Nicholas get above the surface to breath and his lungs start to fill up with water. After some time, she takes him out on the shore and resuscitates him by giving CPR. After having a weird dream, Nicholas wakes up in the hospital again. He gets out of his bed and sneaks around the hallway. He comes across the room where one of the boys is lying in bed. The boy asks Nicholas if he can feel movement inside his body. Nicholas puts his hand on his belly and feels it. The boy forces Nicholas's hand and puts pressure on his own belly to stop the movement inside. The boy starts puking blood soon afterwards. Nicholas runs out of the room. Then he comes across another room where he sees a boy half submerged in a tank filled with water. A nurse shouts from behind and takes Nicholas away. The nurses then start a surgical operation on him. She cuts open his belly. Nicholas wakes up submerged in a tank. He looks down in the water and finds out that 2 infants are sucking on his belly. Shocked, Nicholas gasps for air while one of the infants swims up to the surface to breathe air as well. When Nicholas gains his senses again, he is being transported on a bed in the hospital hallway. Stella takes her to the shore and gently caresses his hair. She then jumps into the water and Nicholas follows her. She puts her mouth to his and starts delivering air as they both swim for the night. As the sun shines on Nicholas's face, he opens his eyes and finds himself in a boat. Stella gets up and gives some water to Nicholas. Stella jumps into the water and does not return. The day passes by and the night arrives. Nicholas wakes up again in the boat. He gets up and sees the boat coming close to a city. A city full of bright lights. The movie ends with Nicholas gazing upon the shining buildings with wide eyes. Thanks for watching, guys.